Hi. It is a gorgeous, gorgeous spring day. It is Wednesday, March 24th, I believe, and it's officially spring. I've been waiting for so long, just thinking back to the middle of winter, just daydreaming about starting seeds and being outside and not having to bundle up in coats and jackets and hats and everything. Just daydreaming about spring, and it's here. It's lovely. It's gorgeous. Earlier today, I finished laying out all of my garden beds, making using the wood chips to make the border to hold the compost in, since I'm not using raised beds with wooden sides. And so I've been working on that over the last several weeks, and I finished them today. Now I still got a lot of work to do out here, but all of my garden beds are ready to plant. And most of them won't be filled until after the last frost date, which is in a couple of weeks next in April. Our last frost date is April 15th. And so I decided that since I finished my beds today, it was the perfect time to do a garden tour. I want to start doing a weekly garden tour to just show the progress of everything as it grows and talk about the challenges and just really share my experience with you week by week. So yeah, I thought I would start by showing you the old garden here behind me and what is going on there. So here's the old garden. I love this garden. As you can see, I made the gate myself out of these panels. Actually, the panels were already made and were used elsewhere on our property, but it was the first gate that I ever mounted and latched and everything. And as you can see, it needs some work. Last summer I used zip ties to secure these because the wood is starting to rot and these are starting to come off. So I need to get some more zip ties out and zip tie this up. And probably we'll have to build a new gate at some point in the future. So I've got piles of my composted manure down on some cardboard, and I need to, this garden has, my bird bath and this circular bed, and then I've got like a circular path of wood chips, so it's just like a circular path here. And so I need to lay down some more cardboard in this area here, and then I'm going to spread the compost out evenly over the cardboard and plant directly into that. So yeah, that's what needs to be done out here. Currently, I've got, everything out in this old garden are things that I planted last year that are perennial in my region. I didn't realize that lettuce and chard would be perennial. I mean, not necessarily perennial, because it's not like the same plant is going to live on for years and years. But what I mean by perennial in that, when I'm talking about this lettuce and this chard, is that I planted these last fall and they made it through the winter. And they got some frost damage and died back, but this is the same plant that is coming in strong. And I've never really grown chard before, so I'm excited to see how that is. But my goal for this garden this year is, the old garden is going to be solely flowers this year. Last year it was my main garden that was fruits, vegetables, and flowers and everything. But the new garden is going to be my vegetable garden this year, and this is going to be purely flowers. So probably next month, or maybe sooner than that, I'm gonna harvest all of this lettuce and this chard and pull everything out. Probably put down some cardboard and some compost, and then I think around here I might plant like coreopsis and some other flowers, maybe some oregano. So there will be herbs out here too. I'm going to put sunflowers. This whole end is going to be full of sunflowers. I'm going to try and plant like a row at a time, and then maybe 2 weeks later do another row, 2 weeks later do another row, so that I have continuous blooming sunflowers. And I also have things like yarrow, which is a flowering herb I've never grown before, feverfew, I'm going to do marigolds, calendulas, coreopsis, zinnias. I've never grown zinnias before, but they're beautiful. So yeah, and some other things, like this sage plant is perennial, survived all winter and is coming back strong. Lemon balm, this is my lemon balm. I never grew lemon balm before last year, and I love it. It is delicious fresh. I love to just smell it or even just chew on a leaf. It is so citrusy and bright. It's delicious. You can use the fresh leaves in a tea, or you can dry the leaves and make tea. I've still got dried lemon balm that I'm using for tea. I've got dried lemon balm from last year. I've still got it. I harvested the whole plant, and it's just coming back, and it's probably going to be a pretty big bush this year. It's probably going to be pretty big. What I've got over here is Echinacea. These are Echinacea plants from last year. Purple coneflower. This is chamomile. And this is a kale plant that I thought was dead because I had chopped him off, harvested him in the winter. I didn't really realize that I should have left my kale to grow over the winter. I know that now, but basically this long snaky stem is sending up little leaves, and so I really don't know what's gonna happen here, but I'm letting it grow to see how it grows and if I can get some food from it. So that's what's going on out in the old garden. I just love that all of these things survived the winter, and they've already got a head start on everything else. It's really exciting to not have had to plant them this year. They're just there. That's been really exciting for me. So now I will show you the new garden. And I've got to tell you, I love my Cedar Gate. I made this gate myself. First gate I ever made from scratch this year. It's cedar, and whenever I go through, I can smell. I just like to, I don't know if that's weird to smell your gate, but I just love the smell of cedar. What are you doing, Shia? Are you a good girl? Are you a good girl? Yeah. So here is the new garden. Not sure which end. I'll start down here. As you can see, I still have a ton of these wood chips, but I've made quite a dent in them. I'm trying to get them away from this tree first, because we're about to get this tree cut down. It's just a mess, and it's going to cast shade. When it fills out with leaves, it's going to cast a lot of shade on the garden, so we're getting rid of it. But there it is, all 8 beds. They're 4 foot by 8 foot, and they're all filled in and raked out and just ready to plant. So this bed is going to be, I know I'm going to put strawberries and ground cherries in it, and I'm not sure what else is going in it. I know all along the back row, the north row, I'm going to put like some green beans or lima beans. Actually, this whole back row, all these beds, there's going to be arched trellises along the back of every bed, because this is north. So I'm putting my trellises on the north side of the garden, and I'm going to be planting things like beans, cucumbers, pumpkins and melons, things that I'm going to train up the trellis. This bed here is going to be peppers. I'm going to grow jalapenos, banana peppers, eggplant, jalapenos were good, 2 kinds of bell peppers, and also some basil in this bed. The next bed on the south side is going to be half corn and half golden giant amaranth. So it's going to be, if you can imagine, it's going to be just really tall corn plants, and the amaranth, I think the amaranth gets like 8 or 10 feet tall. And I've never grown amaranth before. I'm very excited about it. Let's see, I'll show you. These 2 beds on the end are going to be tomatoes. I'm growing 7 varieties of tomatoes this year, and I'm going to have like 4 or 5 plants of each variety. Let's see. This bed, I've got my brassicas, my cold weather crops. Not that it's like cold right now, but I planted chard, mustard, there's some little baby mustards. Let's see. These are cabbages. The variety is Violaceo di Verona. I've never grown cabbages before, but I'm very excited about them. This is chijimisai, which is an Asian green. I've never grown before, but I just think it's really cute. I love the rounded edges of the leaves. This is ragged jack kale, which I've never grown before, but it's pretty cute. I like the ruffly edges. That's a scarlet kale. These are beets. I've never successfully grown beets before, so I'm really hoping that this is the year. I've always tried to grow them directly into clay, directly into clay soil, and so they don't really like clay soil, so I'm hoping that this top couple of inches of compost is going to do the trick and allow me to have some beets to harvest this year. All along the back of this bed here, on this half, these are sugar snap peas. I've never grown them before, but they're really cute, and I'm excited to have some snap peas. They're gonna grow on the trellis, and here I have sown. I've kind of intersown some kale with some turnips. My mindset when I planted that was, okay, the kale is going to need more room than this planting allows, but turnips are such a quick crop that I'll be harvesting the turnips by the time the kale is getting big and needing more space. So, you know, it's always fun to experiment and see what works and see what you can intercrop. This bed is going to be some more root crops like carrots, more beets, turnips, kohlrabi, and along the back it's either going to be cucumbers or something along the trellis. And then my final bed down here, it has radishes along the back. Those will be ready to harvest pretty soon, and then I can plant something along the back that's going to go on the trellis. And here I've got like 8 square feet of spinach. I've never grown spinach before, but here are the spinach sprouts. They're starting to get their true leaves, and yeah, I'm excited to have some spinach. We eat a lot of kale and spinach in smoothies, and yeah, it's gonna be great. You can also see that in my compost, I've got a ton of weeds, which is disappointing because generally with the no-dig method, you're gonna have less weeds because your compost shouldn't be full of weed seeds. Your compost generally shouldn't be full of weed seeds, but I don't really know why this compost is full of weeds. But generally in no-dig gardening, you're not disturbing the soil, you're just laying compost down on top, and the compost acts as a mulch and a growing medium at the same time, so you're supposed to have less weeds. But if your compost is full of weed seeds, you're gonna have weeds. And that's a little bit of a bummer, but ultimately I'm okay with putting up with some weeds because I was actually scared I wasn't going to find quality compost this year. It's just, I guess in some areas it's readily available, but in my area I really had to search to find a place to get this composted manure from an organic chicken farm. So I'm happy I got some compost. It's gonna grow some beautiful things, but I am gonna have to pick all these little weed seedlings out. But hopefully after that, I'm not gonna be disturbing the soil, and I'm just gonna be layering compost on top once every year. So I should start to have less weeds. And also the wood chips and the pathways, I've still got to spread out the wood chips in these pathways. Really, this whole area, this whole fenced-in area of the new garden, anywhere you see grass over here, that's all going to be covered up with wood chips. So there's going to be no grass, no weeds back here at all. It's just going to be hopefully a place that we don't really have to worry about weed eating or anything like that. But that's it. That is my first garden tour of 2021. You can already see, I showed my last video was the before picture for this space, and it's coming along. I'm glad that you guys are getting to see the transformation as it happens, and thank you for watching. Feel free to subscribe. I know I don't have much content now, but I'm just gonna keep going with it. I'm going to do a garden tour every week, and I may do additional videos if there's something that I feel like I need to share with you guys. So thank you again. Have a great day.